Today, we're going to talk about something that's often surrounded by silence, the biology of miscarriage. We're going to move beyond that silence by looking directly at the science behind it.
Let's start with a number, 23 million. It's a huge figure, right? And it represents something that touches millions of lives all over the world. But it's something we rarely, if ever, talk about openly.
Yep, that's the number of pregnancies that end in miscarriage globally every single year. So just think about that. It's incredibly common, but for some reason, it's still treated like a taboo subject.
And that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. If this experience is so common, why does it feel so profoundly isolating for so many people? Well, a lot of that comes down to stigma and to myths that lead people to blame themselves. But by looking at the actual science, we can start to replace that blame with some real understanding.
Okay, so let's get into the complex biology of it all. And the first thing you really need to know is this. Most miscarriages are simply not preventable. They happen because establishing a pregnancy is an incredibly complicated process. So many things have to line up just right.
And this really puts it into perspective. Look at these odds. For every 3 eggs that get fertilized, only one, just one, actually goes on to become a live birth. That statistic right there tells you that losing a pregnancy early on is a very, very common part of the whole biological picture.
So to get why this happens, you have to know about the key players involved. You can think of early pregnancy as being run by this trio of really important hormones. You've got progesterone and estrogen, and their job is to get the uterine lining ready, make it the perfect environment. And then you have HCG. That's the one that acts like the master signal, the one that says, hey, we're pregnant.
Yeah, it really is like a delicate dance, a hormonal choreography. First, the uterine lining is prepared. Then, if a fertilized egg attaches, it starts producing HCG. That HCG is the critical signal that tells the body, okay, keep those other hormones coming, don't start a period. But if there's no signal, the whole system just resets for the next cycle.
But, even if that signal gets sent, there's this huge first hurdle, implantation. For reasons we're still trying to fully understand, as many as 1/3 of all fertilized eggs just don't manage to attach properly to that uterine wall. And this often happens so early that a person might never even know they were pregnant.
So here's the absolute key takeaway. When a miscarriage happens, especially in those first 12 weeks, it is almost never because of something a person did or didn't do. The vast majority are caused by random chromosomal abnormalities in the developing embryo, things that are completely 100% beyond anyone's control.
And that idea that it's not your fault brings us right to our next section. We're going to tackle that painful feeling of self-blame head-on by looking at the common myths versus what medicine actually tells us. So many people find themselves worrying, was it because I was stressed? Did I exercise too much? Was it that vaccination I got? But look at the reality here. The science just doesn't back that up. The real drivers are things like chromosomal issues, problems with how the embryo develops, or that failure to implant we just talked about. It's biology, not lifestyle choices.
Okay, so what actually happens when a pregnancy loss is confirmed? It's so important to understand what the path forward looks like, so let's walk through how it's managed from a medical standpoint.
The physical side of things can really vary from person to person. Some might experience heavy bleeding and cramping as those pregnancy hormones drop. But for others, there might be very few symptoms, or even none at all. Sometimes the loss is only discovered during a routine doctor's visit.
When it comes to treatment, there are generally 3 safe and effective options. The first is called watch and wait, which is basically allowing the body to pass the tissue naturally, though this can take a few weeks. Second, there's medication, which can help speed up the process by causing contractions. And third is a brief 5-minute procedure called a vacuum aspiration to remove the tissue.
And it is so important to stress this. There's no single right answer here. The choice is a deeply personal one. It's a decision that's made based on someone's specific medical situation, their timeline, and their own preferences, all in discussion with their healthcare provider.
So knowing these safe options exist is one thing, but actually being able to access them, that's a whole other story. The silence and stigma we've been talking about, they create very real and sometimes very dangerous barriers to getting this essential care. And this is serious. Without proper medical care, an incomplete miscarriage can lead to life-threatening infections or severe bleeding. And to complicate things even more, because the treatments are the same ones used for induced abortions, they can be really hard to get or are even criminalized in some places. This is all on top of the fact that more than half of the world's population doesn't even have access to this kind of basic care to begin with.
Which really brings us back to the human side of this whole biological process. Losing a pregnancy can be absolutely devastating. And at a time when you are feeling so vulnerable, everyone deserves to be met with compassion, care, and real support.
So, I want to leave you with a question to think about. What would change if we, as a society, just decided to replace all that silence and stigma with a clear, factual, scientific understanding of what's really going on in the body? Because at the end of the day, that understanding, that's the first step. It is the first, most crucial step toward building a world with more empathy, better support, and safer care for absolutely everyone.